if you are a new or recent attender, please fill out our communication cards. We'd love to get to know you better. And we have a gift for you. There's a table on the way out by the kitchen, and we would love to give you something as an appreciation for coming today. Just to thank you for being our guest today.
I just can't get these numbers to add up.
Like we're never going to get out of this hole.
Credit card debt, does it ever end?
Maybe I can help.
We sure could use it.
We've tried debt consolidation companies.
We've even taken out loans to help make payments.
Well, you're not the only ones. Did you know millions of Americans live with debt they cannot control? That's why I developed this unique new program for managing your debt. It's called Don't Buy Stuff You Cannot Afford.
Let me see that. If you don't have any money, you should not buy anything. Sounds interesting.
Sounds confusing.
I don't know, honey. This makes a lot of sense. There's a whole section here on how to buy expensive things using money you save.
Give me that. And where would you get this saved money?
I tell you where and how in Chapter 3.
Okay, but what if I want something but I don't have any money?
You don't buy it.
Well, let's say I don't have enough money to buy something. Should I buy it anyway?
No.
Now I'm really confused.
It's a little confusing at first.
Well, what if you have the money? Can you buy something?
Yes.
Now take the money away. Same story?
Nope. You shouldn't buy stuff when you don't have the money.
I think I got it. I buy something I want and then hope that I can pay for it, right?
No. You make sure you have money, then you buy it.
Oh, then you buy it. But shouldn't you buy it before you have the money?
No.
Why not?
It's in the book. It's only 1 page long. The advice is priceless and the book is free.
Wow, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we can put it on our credit card.
So get out of debt now. Write for your free copy of Don't Buy Stuff You Cannot Afford. And if you order now, you'll also receive Seriously, If You Don't Have the Money, Don't Buy It, along with a 12-month subscription to Stop Buying Stuff magazine. So order today.
Now there's a money management plan. Don't buy stuff you can't afford. I don't know, like Steve Martin said, it's so confusing. Today we're going to talk about a simple plan that over time can make you financially free. Now if you're looking for a quick fix, this isn't it. There is no quick fix, there is no easy solution. I mean, it's easy, but it's not. I know I explained that one, but y'all did it after a little bit. But over time, this plan does work. Financial freedom always starts with our attitude, our mindset. I want to begin with Jesus' words from chapter 12 in Mark. And it would be great to read the entire chapter of Mark, but it's a lot of verses. So we're going to read 3 sections that actually just deal with money and finances. So I want you, it'll be up on the screen as well, but we're going to start with verse 13. It says, later, the leaders sent some Pharisees and supporters of Herod to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. Teachers, they said, we know how honest you are. You are impartial and don't play favorites. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or shouldn't we? Jesus saw through their hypocrisy and said, why are you trying to trap me? Show me a Roman coin and I'll tell you. When they handed it to him, he asked, whose picture and title are stamped on it? Caesar's, they replied. Well then, Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. This reply completely amazed them. This passage is very timely. It's kind of tax time is coming up. Those of us that know we're getting money back are hurrying up and getting those things in. And those of us that know we have to pay are procrastinating and are going to wait till April and finish them and get them in by April 15th. So that's how it works. And that's, they're talking about taxes. The Pharisees wanted to make trouble for Jesus. They didn't care one way or another about taxes. That wasn't the point of these questions. The question was, they were hoping that Jesus would say, well, you shouldn't have to pay taxes because it's a Roman government. And if he would have said that, the Romans could have thrown him in jail for being a traitor and not paying his taxes. But Jesus saw through all that. You know, there are still people around that cite religious reasons for not paying taxes, even in our country now. They'll go around and say, well, we shouldn't pay taxes. And they don't. Yet here's Jesus saying, we need to pay the government what is due them. We may not agree with everything the government does, but Jesus is saying, well, we don't have to agree with it, but we need to do what the government asks. We need to pay to Caesar what is Caesar's. The Apostle Paul shared the same principle in Romans 13. Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. Not only are we called to pay our taxes, we are to respect those who collect them too. It might sometimes be a little bit more difficult. Attitude, it is still all about our attitude. Our attitude needs to be right when we are beginning our plan for this new year. We must allow for taxes in our budget, especially for those that are self-employed or retired. Over the last couple of years, that's what Gary and I have been learning. It's not very easy to plan for taxes, and it's been biting us in the rear a couple of times. We think we haven't paid ahead far enough, and we find out we still owe a whole bunch. And we don't have that whole much usually sitting in our savings. So we've been struggling we never used to, we dread it now. Every March and April, are we going to have enough? How are we going to pay these? And that's what happens. Clergy, we're tax exempt, but we also pay Social Security. And if we have to pay that all ahead of time as well, and then they add mine to Gary's, and then it makes a big deal. And then we have to pay on the bigger amount, puts you in a different tax bracket sometimes. So it's kind of a tricky thing, but it's kind of a mess too. And if you don't allow for those things, it can get you. Along those lines, health insurance and dental bills, all those things stretch your budget, especially if you don't have the kind of insurance that covers everything, or your insurance isn't provided by your work. Then you have to pay out of pocket, and that's not that easy. We're in a process, for our house, we're in a process of rethinking our budget so we can better cover those expenses, so we don't have those tight times during the year. Instead of looking for ways to not pay Caesar, our attitude needs to change. We must switch to one of gratitude for the government that we do have. The government that provides and takes care, that provides our safety and our freedoms and all those things. We need to be grateful for having those things in place. Now, there isn't any financial plan that doesn't start without some work. And really, there's no financial plan that starts without you working. We all need to work. Work is not a curse. God told Adam that he would be working in the garden. And that was before sin, before the first came. As we read through the Bible, there's a pattern of people working and getting compensated for their effort. There are no verses on retirement in the entire Bible. Working is part of our DNA as human beings. We are the happiest when we are working, especially when we're able to do something that we're passionate about. We would all ideally love to be in a job that we have our passion for. We would love to be able to go to work and love it every minute of every hour of every day. Now, it doesn't usually work that way. Sometimes it does. I'm fortunate, I get to do that. But there are times when it feels like work as well for me. It isn't always, just the funnest part of things. But there are a man named Bob Goff wrote a book about love. And one of the things I really took out of it when I read it was that he said he went to work, he's a lawyer, he was a corporate attorney, he made the big bucks. And he had all this money, but he said that wasn't his passion. That was what paid for his passion. Because what he really loved doing was going to Africa, going to third world countries, and serving in ministry. So what he did, he goes, I will go to work to pay for my passion, pay for my hobby. And that's what he did. He did enough work so he'd have extra money so he could go elsewhere. And he would spend it on others. And that was what his passion was to go. And he helped build wells, and he helped these different countries and these different areas. So I thought, there's probably a lot of people that could benefit, think of it, keeping up their job that way. Because sometimes we work We work to pay the bills and support our family, and that's a good thing. We need to do that. And that helps us to remember to be thankful, because that's why we're doing it, is to take care of those things. And Paul wrote to the Thessalonians, he said, "For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. If a man will not work, he shall not eat." In 2 Thessalonians 3:10, and that was where that was in it, to a younger pastor in Timothy, he wrote, "If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." The Bible is clear. God expects us to work. If we want to be financially free, it begins with that responsibility, taking care of it and earning money. The problem is that some people view work as a necessary evil, and they just do the minimum required. And when you do that, you don't tend to go up in your work, you don't tend to get better at it, you don't tend to get any raises, you just struggle through it all the time. Colossians 3:23 is a great rule of thumb to remember. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for man. Whatever we do, no matter if you're a maid down at the hotel downtown, no matter if you're a waitress, no matter if you're a CEO, whatever we do it with all that you got. Attitude again, our attitude. Secondly, back to Mark 12. We're going to start at verse 28. One of the teachers of religious law was standing there listening to the debate, and he realized that Jesus had answered well, so he asked, "Of all the commandments, which is the most important?" Jesus replied, "The most important commandment is this. Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only Lord, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these." The teacher of religious law replied, "Well said, teacher. You have spoken the truth by saying that there is only one God and no other. And I know it's important to love him with all my heart and all my understanding and all my strength, and to love my neighbor as myself. This is more important than to offer all of the burnt offerings and sacrifices required in the law." Jesus was asked, what is the most important commandment? Again, the Pharisees were looking for a way to trip him up. But Jesus had no problem with that question. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. You got that from Deuteronomy 6:5. That's from the Old Testament. That's how they started when they were sharing the laws. Moses said, "You must love the Lord." That is the most important law. Jesus told them to put God first in everything. When we love him, we want to serve. We want to love others. And we want to give because God gave first. John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son." God gave his best. He gave his Son. He gave his all for us. We can't possibly give any of that back. We can't possibly outgive God. R.J. Letourneau, arguably one of the most successful businessmen of the 20th century, decided in 1933 to stop driving big trucks and start making them. He invented and then manufactured earth-moving equipment with revolutionary features. For that time, and actually for our time, he developed low-pressure tires, the turnable, sometimes called a two-wheel tractor, and even offshore drilling platforms. And they're all credited to R.J. Letourneau's inventive mind. His 4 factories manufactured 70% of the earth-moving equipment used by the Allies during the Second World War. He made millions in his lifetime as an inventor and a business owner, but he gladly gave 90% of his income back to the Lord. R.J. once said, "I shovel out the money, and God shovels it back, but God has a bigger shovel." God doesn't need anything from us. He owns it all, but he loves it when we give to him. Attitude. Are we giving back to God? Are we generous with what we have? I want you to hold that thought. We're going to turn back to Mark 12 one more time. our last vignette from starting in verse 41. Jesus sat down near the collection box in the temple and watched as the crowds dropped in their money. Many rich people put in large amounts. Then a poor widow came and dropped in 2 small coins. Jesus called his disciples over to him and said, I tell you the truth, this poor widow has given more than all the others who are making contributions. For they gave a tiny part of their surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything she had to live on. This box in the temple was out in front. It was always done with a lot of fanfare. In fact, we were talking about that at a pastor's meeting not too long ago. We have some friends that have been to Sierra Leone. And when they do offerings in Sierra Leone, they keep it right here in the middle aisle, and everybody comes up one at a time, and they dance, and it's a celebration. They have an awesome time giving their offerings. And they all lay it down in front of everybody. And we saw them do that in Jamaica too, but it's just, we treat it like it's almost, it's a secret, really quiet. Nobody's supposed to know what we're doing. And there, they treat it as a part of a celebration, part of worship. And but the Pharisees, it kind of turned into an art of seeing who can outdo each other. So they would put loud fanfare and they would drop in their money and they would want everybody to see how much they gave. Well, this little old lady, this little widow came up there and she put in 2 small coins. And Jesus said, she gave more than all of us. Now, all of us that know math know that she didn't give up more financially than any of the others. But she gave all she had. She gave her very best. And again, that's all about attitude. She gave out of her love for God. Jesus wanted the disciples and us to recognize that her heart and her attitude was right with God. As we decide to learn how to control and handle our money appropriately, we must learn to budget. To use our resources, we have to do the best we can with them. Everything we have comes from God. In James 1:7, it says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He has given us everything, and he wants us to be good stewards with all that we have. The 10-10-80 plan is not a new idea. It's been around for a long time. The theoretical basis for this principle is from something called the Pareto principle, and it was suggested by an Italian economist, Alfredo Pareto, who postulated that approximately 80% of the effects result from 20% of the causes. Pareto originally observed that 80% of the wealth in Italy belonged to 20% of the inhabitants. Over subsequent years, many similar things were observed in large companies, for instance. 20% of the products often produce 80% of their what they get in for money that year, of their sales. In academia, 20% of the researchers may be responsible for 80% of the discoveries. In terms of personal time management, 80% of your work-related output could come from only 20% of your real work. Similarly, in money management, there's the 10-10-80 principle to help in budgeting. The principle aims to allocate 10% of your income to savings, another 10% to charitable giving, and the remaining 80% to living on. This principle has been in existence for more than 400 years. This is nothing new. It's been around a long time. And yet people don't seem to get the hang of it. Some examples of people who followed this principle are John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist movement, and the evangelist in the 1700s. John D. Rockefeller, an American industrialist who was the wealthiest man of his generation, followed this principle. When Rockefeller was asked what the secret of his financial success was, he gave a profoundly simple answer. That from his very first paycheck, he gave away 10%, he saved 10%, and he lived on 80%. Okay, since you guys are interrupting a lot, can you please sit down and behave? You're going to be sitting up here next to me. Thank you. Alex, you too. You're disrupting everyone, not just me. Okay, sorry. So for some people, when we think about that, Rockefeller, you think, well, he had a lot of money, so it wasn't no big deal. But he had to work to get there. It wasn't like it all was given to him. But as his wealth grew, so did his giving. This principle teaches that individuals or families only require 80% of their earnings to live comfortably. We only need 80% of our income for food, for utilities, rent, clothing, and our necessities. This may sound impossible or unrealistic, but it works. For some people, asking them to save 10% seems totally outrageous, totally unrealistic, utterly ridiculous. And giving away 10% even sounds even crazier. And it seems impossible. Our best financial life can be accomplished by having a proper balance of our money. Over the span of our lives, we will all probably handle what you could think of as a small fortune, maybe a large fortune. We have to have a plan. Financial counselors call this plan the 10-10-80 plan. It has been around for quite a while. For it to work, we must place the first two spending principles at the top of the list, not at the bottom. And they're very easy to put at the bottom. And it's not that it's easy for any of us. So first one is give away 10%. For followers of Jesus, that first 10% would be to your church. In the Old Testament, it went to the temple. We demonstrate our trust in God's care by giving him the first part. In the Old Testament, the offering was introduced. Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you present an animal as an offering to the Lord, you may take it from your herd of cattle or your flock of sheep and goats. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is from the herd, it must be a male with no defects. Bring it to the entrance. The Lord gives instructions regarding the offerings to the people, so that it may be acceptable to the Lord. Over 214 times in the book of Leviticus, the Lord gave instructions on how to bring an offering. Must have been important. We wanted to make sure we got that. What that meant, in the New Testament, we see the word offering is 29 times. So offerings and giving to him are important. Paul addresses in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, and very appropriately, because since we're in a farming community, in a farming area, it says, remember this, a farmer who plants only a few seeds will only get a small crop, but the one who plants generously will get a generous crop. You must each decide in your heart how much to give, and don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others. As the scriptures say, they share freely and give generously to the poor. Their good deeds will be remembered forever. For God is the one who provides seed for the farmers and then bread to eat. In the same way, he will provide and increase your resources and then produce a great harvest of generosity in you. In Corinthians, there's no percentage listed. The 10-10-80 hadn't gained popularity yet from the Italian economists, but Paul does stress that we are to give out of our love for God. Again, attitude. And give generously to those in need as well. Farmers know that to get a high-yielding crop, you got to plant a lot of seed. You can't just plant it sparingly. I've tried that. I've tried that in gardening, because you have these things called beets and carrots, and you plant them, and if you plant them real thick, you have a whole bunch come up, and then you got to go back and thin them out. I hate thinning things out. And so a couple times I've tried to just plant them sparingly. I do that, then I have like a half a row without anything at all in there. So then that's kind of the same principle. I noticed over the years, when I was a kid, you could run through cornfield rows a lot easier. Now they're like 12 inches apart, because they want to get more yield. They plant more seed, they fertilize it, they keep the weeds out, and they get a higher yield. That's what we're talking about. When we're generous, it shows back up again. According to Lifeway Research, on the average, Christians gave 2.5% of their income to churches in 2018. Compared to during the Great Depression, when they gave 3.3%. The prophet Malachi wrote to the people of Israel, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have enough room for it. God's promises are linked with our giving, putting Him first in our lives. And I'm not proposing that this is some kind of get-rich-quick, that if we give to God, He's going to give you a whole bunch of money back. It doesn't work that way. It does sometimes. You can see that in the life of Laterno and some of these others. When they sacrificially gave, it seemed like God just really blessed them financially. But He will give us peace. He'll give us joy. He'll help us to have just a lot of fun being generous, because it really is fun to give away, to give something to somebody else. Secondly, our primary reason for giving must be because we love God and we love people. We love the people that Jesus died for, and that we want to invest in them. We want to invest in the church so that that message can get out, so that the church can do the work that it's been called to do. The part about God involving Himself in our finances is true, but it can't be the main reason we do it. Again, our attitude, our love for God must come with our giving. Second, pay 10% to yourself. This goes into some kind of long-range saving and investment program. Not only are we working for money now, but we want to have money to live on, and we want it to be working for us. There are always, some people work a lifetime and never get to a place where their money is working for them. They can't relax when they get older. They have to always worry about if they have enough money to take care of the bills and all that kind of stuff. Because in our country and in our culture, it is difficult to continue to work until you die, because we live so much longer. So that, we need to have that nest egg, that savings, that interest there to live on later. Solomon wrote in Proverbs 21:20, "The wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets." If you're in debt, you need to hammer that out first. You got to take care of that before you can get to a place where you can start putting money into these long-range savings. Financial Peace University teaches that we need to get a $1,000 emergency fund done right away. As soon as you can, get that fund ready to go. So you have that for those things that happen in life that you need that extra money for, like your tire going out or your transmission going out, so that there's some money for wiggle room in there. And then start working on your debt by the snowball principle. So now what do you do with that remaining 80%? Well, that's for everything else. The 80%, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, everything you need, everything else you need. Groceries, housing, clothing, recreation, vacations, transportation, and any additional giving you want to do. There are numbers of combinations with the 80% and how much we should be housing and recreation. Often it depends on where you are in life. When you're just starting out, that housing section is going to be probably a significantly bigger chunk of your change than it is as you get older. Or if you're a college student, housing is probably not so bad because you're probably still living at home. So then now that extra money can go to your debt for your college loans, whatever. Or as you start having kids, that 80% is going to jiggle a lot. And it's going to move around and it's going to change. And it's not like I'm trying to tell you something that's been easy for us all these years. I've been a single mom without any money coming in and living on welfare, and that was when I first heard that kind of a message, was giving back to God. I know I wasn't able to give because I didn't earn anything. I was taking care of my daughter full time. So it's something you learn, it's something that we do, but we do it because we love God. And we go through this, but we learn to live on that 80%. And if it's really out of kilter, maybe it's time to look at why. Maybe we're spending too much on something else. Maybe our house, maybe we got too much house. Maybe it's time to get something smaller. Maybe we have too much car. That puts a lot of people over anymore. Maybe it's time to go something else. But that's what we have to keep an eye on, what we're spending our money on. There's a couple of examples about how we can do this. I want you to think about these. If you're 25 years old and you make $20,000 a year and you get on this 10-10-80 plan today, for the next 20 years you stay on this plan, you get no raises by the time you reach 45, and you will have given $40,000 to the work of God in the world. If you had put aside 10% invested in it, at 7% by 45, you would have a nest egg of $87,000. And you would have done it by earning only $20,000 a year. If you only got 5% on your investment, you still have $69,000 in the bank. Some of you will probably make a little more than that, and if you make $60,000 a year, and you adopt the 10-10-80 plan in 20 years, you would have given God $120,000. And your investment fund would be at $263,000. So if it's such a good idea to do this and it works, why do so few people practice it? Well, because the only way you'll be able to do the plan is to create a budget and stick with it. We make a weak, half-hearted attempt, probably most of us at the beginning of the year. Yeah, we're going to get control of our money, we're going to do a lot better job and get started, and then by March, April, especially April, all of a sudden it's just out the window, and we have to start over again, or we just give up and say, well, we'll try it next year. I know that's one of the things Gary and I are going to be sitting down to work on our budget, because like I said, we go through times like that, and neither of us like it. Neither of us like to try to figure out how we're going to pay that. And it's just not that easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's something you have to do. If you don't build a budget, stick with it. There will always be needs and emergencies that will suck the money out of it. That'll wreck the plan. The word budget scares people. Sounds terrible. Sounds like diet. Budget. So a budget is just a spending plan. It's telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's a plan how you are going to allocate your money. And like anything else, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Remember the words of John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. God's intent is for us to experience freedom in every area of life, even financial freedom. People resist a budget because it seems restrictive, and it's just the opposite. It puts us in control, and it sets us free. We have to let God start on the inside before any of this is going to make a difference. Jesus told the man that the most important commandment was to love God. First thing, love God. Put Him first with all that we have, and then love our neighbor too. Jesus said, where a man's treasure is, there his heart is also. This year, my challenge to you is to master your money, not let your money master you. Develop a money management plan to be a good steward of the resources that God has given you. It's never too late. Sign up to do Financial Peace University. There's some already signed up to do it from February 10th to April 7th. Well, and put that 10-10-80 principle to work. Like Letourneau and Rockefeller and Wesley and many others. God wants us to be free. And it starts with our heart turned toward Him. And first we have to receive Him. First we have to ask Him into our hearts. First we have to say, Lord, I'm going to follow you. I trust you. I believe you. And He will come in. And He will set us free. And He will lead us the rest of the way. Dear God, thank you. Thank you for the resources that you have already given us. Lord, many of us some of us walk around like paupers, like you barely give us enough to scratch by. And yet, Father, when we look at other countries and other areas of the world, we are so rich in material things in this country. Father, thank you. Thank you for providing so well for us. Lord, help us this coming year to manage the resources, to be good stewards of what you have given us. And may all that we do and all that we have honor you. In your name we pray. Amen. Would you please stand with us as we sing the closing song?